Faith and Tech Bytes with Amy Lynn. Everything is going to let you down in some way, shape, or form. This is not a curse. This is a likelihood of life. No human or technology is perfect. Each of us have our own responsibilities in life and our own burdens. Sometimes we can expect too much out of people, not knowing their troubles in life. We can often feel disrespected if we ask someone for help and it's not done, either because it's forgotten about or the person just didn't want to do it. Think back when you were in school and got homework. Didn't you dread it? But we made a choice, either to do it halfway, or to not do it at all. These decisions started early, as you can see. So as a child, you may have disappointed your teacher with what she felt was a lack of effort. Again, that teacher having no idea of the child's home life. Without asking, without being told, no one knows the reason why people don't do what they are asked of them. Computers, too, can let us down. A system can crash and be unrecoverable. The hard drive may fail, or even backup devices can break or be lost. Burning data to DVDs or CDs isn't a fail-safe either. They can become scratched, or, if you purchased an off-brand, sectors can be lost. Phones can get damaged as well as lost. And if you didn't back up data, then again, your system or devices have let you down. If you have important content on your phone or computer, you need to back it up. Save it somewhere safe, so it's there when you need it. Print things out before they get lost or damaged. Uploading everything to the cloud isn't secure either. Even online storage like Google Drive or Dropbox aren't 100% safe. There is no format, online or off, that offers 100% secure backups. Even external hard drives and USB sticks go bad. Please don't put your hopes and dreams that your data will be accessible at a later date should you need it for something. I would recommend backing things up multiple ways, mostly offline. If, however, you travel, you may need to have access to these files online. Psalms 118, verse 8. It is better to put trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. Have you ever noticed how older people will always make the comments like, "Oh, that's back in style now?" It can feel annoying to hear that, and more so at the thought that our parents were ever considered in style. This trend of everything as old as new again flows through life, not just in style of clothing, but also in faith. Example, some things that were considered cults or cult-like in the 60s and 70s is now considered mainstream. Things considered radical are normal. As times change, so do beliefs. This is a part of natural growth, travels, and thanks to the internet, access to new belief systems. Technology is the same way. Oftentimes, you may do updates or upgrades on your computer and regret it. I've been there and done that tons of times. But thankfully, there's a website out there called Old Version, because newer isn't always better. This is a really awesome website that has old versions of just about everything you can think of. The good thing about Android phones is the ability to download older APK files to replace the bad version you may have accidentally upgraded to. Sadly, iPhones don't have that option. That's why I don't recommend having auto updates or auto downloads turned on even with Windows updates. If you use your device, whatever it may be, a computer or phone all the time, I'm sure you too have suffered from the updates being more of a downgrade than anything. I will leave the link to this website in the About section of this podcast. 2 Timothy 3 verse 16. All scripture is breathed out by God and profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, and for training in righteousness. You may have noticed after sharing some good news, you feel as though you got slapped back down into place. This can be because of several reasons. Most importantly, the Bible teaches us to be humble. When we get a victory, we are to give thanks to God for providing it. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Online, it seems the more attention you bring to yourself, the greater the target you are for mockery, hacking attempts, slander, spam, and more. It can often feel like we can't win. Working in tech, you could be a bug hunter, and after finding one issue, create another. It's called a cascading failure. This is often why when you do a virus or malware scan and you remove that issue, you have other errors you have to deal with. You may need to reinstall software that you've been using, fix registry errors, defrag your hard drive, and the classic restore and reboot. When things beat you down, don't let it keep you down. You are stronger than you think, and so is your electronic devices. Call your support or service agents if you need to. And in regards to faith, pray and rebuke. Deuteronomy 20 verse 4. For the Lord your God is the one who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to give you victory. Being a people pleaser can really weigh on a person. Being forced to be the person who always has to apologize, even when you aren't wrong, is a sign you are in an unhealthy relationship. If the other party can't humble themselves and apologize for possibly hurting you, it's a toxic relationship. Respect should flow both ways. I bet you're curious how this applies to tech. Simple. Did you know you can have your electronic device custom made? You don't have to accept the templates you see for sale on the showroom floors. Example. You may need more RAM for computer games. RAM is memory. If you are a power user, you will need a processor that can keep up with you as well. If you do a lot of graphics, videos, and movies, you may need a much larger disk drive for your device. Disk drive is where your data is stored. Don't be afraid to ask someone how whatever it is you need can service you. This can also be applied to other things. Don't be afraid to ask for free delivery. You are worth it. Galatians 1 verse 10. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. No one is perfect, and nothing we do is perfect. The Bible teaches us that perfection is rooted in pride. What may seem perfect to someone has flaws to another. Accepting that perfection is out of your control can be hard. In our daily lives and jobs, we may try to strive for perfection. But even computers aren't perfect. The news shares almost daily how AI has done something wrong, or how an update has caused a device to be unusable. This is generally why companies offer beta testing to make sure that the product they put out for sale, or general use, is working properly. You can be a paid beta tester, but just remember that the risks may not be worth the payment. You could lose whatever device you are testing on. The link to beta testing will be in the About section of this podcast. My road to perfection ended when doing DIY. I decided, after thinking how my house is over 100 years old, and nothing is perfect even when it's brand new installed, why strive for perfection? Why let it eat at me? I was devastated that the new drywall I installed got busted. I grabbed my mud bucket, filled both my hands, and slapped it on the wall. Pow, plop, squish, bang, mush, pop, boom, went the sounds as I covered the whole entire wall and textured it with my bare hands. And now the wall is done and I'm happy. Perfectly imperfect. Your computer or smartphone may not feel perfect either. You can adjust just about everything, from font size to make it easier to read, to brightness to make it easier to see. You don't have to accept default settings when it comes to any device you use. Click on the settings and have your way tweaking things the way you want or need it to be. You can buy cases, coverings, protectors of all kinds, just to make it easier to use and safer as well. Don't be afraid to go on Amazon or Google and look things up, whatever you would like to do with your devices. Psalm 73 verse 26. My health may fail, and my spirit may grow weak, but God remains the strength of my heart. He is mine forever. Have you ever had a friend who spoke to you more about their friends than sharing anything about themselves? I had a family member who I had to ask, if you're telling me this about them, what are you telling them about me? That family member stopped gossiping to me. The simple fact is, if they are talking about someone else, they are most certainly talking about you. And what does this have to do with tech? Well, it's called privacy and cybersecurity. What are your devices telling about you? Do you have location services on for things it shouldn't be? Do you allow microphone and camera access when there is no reason for it? Even your photos can expose data such as your location. This is a topic too great for this podcast. But these are things you need to find out. If you're a parent, what are your kids posting online that's exposing your privacy? Videos of the outside of your house in the background of their videos? Uh-oh, delete. Also, if you want to keep track of your personal information, you can set up free Google Alerts or TalkWalker alerts. Take control of your privacy today, before someone exposes it in a way you don't want. I'll link to several resources in the About section of this podcast. 2 Corinthians 12, verse 20. For I am afraid that when I come, I may not find you as I want you to be, and you may not find me as you want me to be. I fear that there may be discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, slander, gossip, ignorance, and disorder. Chrome browser recently did an update, and I wrote about how to fix it in my blog. They changed the way the logo appears. For many users, this wouldn't be a problem, but for those of us in web design, or for those that simply hate change, this is a huge problem. Adjusting after all these years to a strange icon can be very hard to do. I'll leave the fix for this problem in the About section of this podcast. The same thing can happen when you discover faith, salvation, or religion of any kind. Adjusting to, let's call it, terms of service. Adjusting your behavior or outlook can be quite a difficult task. It can feel daunting or overwhelming. It takes time and focus. Don't give up. There is help out there. Building a support group will help. Sharing with friends and family your path in life can help, as you may find someone who is walking the same. Change is hard, but it doesn't have to be, and it doesn't have to be done alone. Isaiah 43 verse 19 says, See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a new way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. I got an email today. 2 things today. I verbally reply, Honey, I have way more than 2 things to do every day, and your email doesn't make it any easier. Some places seem to think people don't have lives, a family, or a business that they maintain. Let's just drop more on your to-do list. This is about boundaries. This is about respecting those boundaries and setting them up if you don't have them. It's about saying the word no. You need to decide what is important to you. What on your to-do list can wait, and what can't. In regards to tech, you may have to say the word no to yourself from time to time, or your kids. Example, social media time, no cell phones at the dinner table, timeouts, and family time. Like when you go to the theater and it asks you to silence your phone. These roles we run into in life are boundaries as well. They are boundaries businesses, cities, or law enforcement sets up to keep us safe and secure. The Bible says a lot about respect and boundaries. There is a lot in the Old and the New Testament. Many of the teachings of Christ have him addressing this very issue. That's how important it is to figure out what your boundaries are and then stand by them. Be prepared. Some may not be happy with your newfound strength. Stand strong and remember that boundaries are set up for your well-being. You can start small by limiting yourself on certain things you really enjoy to putting your foot down to things you don't like. Proverbs 25 verse 28. A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. Many feel that technology slows them down. This could be because they are allowing tech to become a distraction instead of them controlling the technology. No one has to answer the phone or the texts when they come in. The same with emails. I know some who stress out at every sound and cause themselves to feel pressured to respond. You can turn sounds off. You can even silence certain texts if that's what you need. The great thing about technology is we have control over it. If you don't want your emails to be downloaded, you go into settings and turn that off. If you don't know how to change a setting, you go to Google and look it up. While it's okay to take control over our lives when it comes to technology, the Bible teaches us to be careful of a controlling spirit. The manipulators in our lives, controlling people who often use emotional trickery to get their victims to do what they want. This podcast goes hand in hand with my last episode titled Boundaries. Control is important because we are to allow God to be in control of our lives. Decisions are to be prayed about, and we are to trust in the Lord. God will guide us if we let Him. Many are impatient and take action before God has given His answer. That's when we take control over our lives instead of God. If you take time to pray about something, doesn't it make sense to wait for an answer? After all, if you text a friend a question, would you act before you got a reply? 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, "For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." Long before we had caller ID on our phones, we had to take the chances that the person calling was who they said they were. Long before we had email, everyone used to snail mail. We would have to take our chances then as well that the mail we got was from a legitimate source. Now with AI, we are once again left wondering if that person we are hearing is who we think they are. People can fake phone numbers they are calling from, just as they can fake email addresses they are emailing from. This is why we need to protect ourselves, our phone numbers, our email addresses, and even our names. All these data breaches has made it entirely too easy for the bad guys to take advantage of us. I'd like to recommend using a service like My Data Removal. I will add their link in the About section of this podcast. They will remove your information not just online, but several offline companies as well, like junk mail. Now I'm sure you're wondering how this applies to the faith portion of the podcast. The Bible actually has a lot to say about scams, liars, tricksters, and the like. There have been many false witnesses and false prophets. This is why we need to pray for wisdom, truth, and understanding, for our eyes and our ears can deceive us. I like to focus on the part of the Lord's Prayer that says, "Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil." We need not only earthly protection from crime, but God's protection too. That's another reason why I believe faith and tech go hand in hand. Proverbs 14, verse 15. "The simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thought to his steps." Getting yourself organized is a lot easier with tech than you may think. It takes determination and discipline to be organized. It doesn't just happen. But technology can help you set schedules and time limits for things you set your mind to doing. Let's say you wanted to clean out your kitchen cabinets. No one is going to know how long something like that is going to take. You may run into the fact that you feel that they need painted, or that you just want to wash everything and put it back. To help avoid distractions, you can set your phone to silent. You can set it to do not disturb even, and have it play an audiobook, podcast, or song you enjoy. This helps keep your mind to be busy while your body is active. You can also do the same with other tasks. If you want to apply getting organized to computer work and don't have Office, you can use the free web version, which you can find the link to in the About section of this podcast. Getting organized in faith takes time too. Finding time to pray, finding time to read the Bible, finding time to go to church. Asking God for help to be more organized is a start. Don't pressure yourself. Take small steps. If you need to set a timer for, say, 10 minutes while you read the Bible or pray, do so. If 10 minutes is too long, set it for 5 or even 3. If you can't think of anything to pray about, go through each of your family members and pray for their needs. Pray for protection, guidance, understanding, and acceptance. Once you get into the swing of things, you will find yourself discovering new things to pray for. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 40. But everything should be done in a fitting and orderly way. Thanks so much for making this a part of your day. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe to the Facebook and YouTube channels, Amy Lynn's Voiceovers. You can stream the podcast anytime on demand and find all of our links to the podcast applications on amylynn.org.